Hi folks, Pete the Psychic Medium here, and I'm following on from the last vlog, so no changes. As always, my vlogs are for entertainment purposes only and for your spiritual development, so I hope you enjoy. So, looking at this upcoming vlog for, which I started saying that's what I was going to do in the last one and went way off track. Welcome to my world. The blog coming up for this coming Saturday, is blog 212, and the title, what am I doing with that mouse over here? Yeah. The title of the blog is Beyond the Next 4 Years of the Harris Walz Presidency, and it'll be available on at my blog site on the 5th of October, as I say, on Saturday. Now, just going through, I'll read a bit because I'm not the best reader, as I've said already. I have like a dyslexic type of thing, and if I don't have the gaps between them, I just keep going over the same line constantly. So what have we got here? Basically, running through, the Democrats will be Democracy will be a paramount as a basis in the new US. Take 7. Democracy will be paramount as a basis in the new US over the next many years. So basically, even though there's been an understanding that America is a democracy, Americans have had choice to be a democracy or a dictatorship, oligarchy, if they want it. For example, in Australia, that's pretty much impossible to happen, because we do have a head of state who is the King of England, who's said to, but he's the King of Australia, same guy. And then he's virtually all of our parliamentary stuff goes through to our Governor General after it's all been discussed and battled out in Parliament. Goes to the Governor General, and then the Governor General then passes it on to the head of state, and that's the King of England, and the Queen, his mother, before that. Now, even though it rarely happens, within that structure, he can veto. If there's something in there that's not right, he can veto that. Even before that, the Governor General can have things vetoed if there's enough protest brought forward. So our system is such where it has to be a democracy. That's the basic understanding. So in America's case, I'm not sure how it's going to happen. All I'm getting from my spirit friends is that's what's going to happen. You're going to be moving into a more solid form that is democracy, to the people, for the people, as a locked-in factor. I've also got that there's going to be some sort of joint legal academic stalwart body being formed up to review the the American Constitution. It'll be like a review body. And it'll be to advise the President, Congress and Senate as a means of eliminating existing loopholes in the Constitution, and that includes, of course, what's been happening with the Supreme Court. So that'll be part of it, but don't expect that to be within the first 12 months or the first 4 years of this term. It looks like it's going to be something that becomes grassroots upwards. So it'll come from the people. Oops, come on, mouse, do your thing. Okay. And as part of that, it'll be suggested in the same body, or similar, the review of the powers of the President and Vice President as they exist now, and especially as to the powers of each in a time of conflict or their authority. So this is again to do with the fact that Trump has been able to do what he's been able to do. There'll be a review to, I won't say stop it, but to look at whether it should be stopped. So all of the stuff that's coming through is reviewing. Should we be doing this? Should these changes be coming? And it'll be, as I'm saying, it's coming from the grassroots. Truth being, it's not the grassroots, it's the spiritual development that's coming through everyone particularly in America, and that's happening right now. And it's happened through Kamala and Tim, who have actually sparked the awareness of right, pure, true, and good in the hearts of so many Americans, not the corporates and their lackeys, but yeah, the true American people are starting to say, yeah, we need the truth, we need honesty, we need honest government, we need really true government. So that's what's coming out, and that's going to grow. There'll be a review of how best to select candidates for government positions, and that could include the concept of vice presidents being voted for by the people, allowing for a president or one political persuasion and a vice president to the other. In other words, there's a very good possibility that included in all of this, the parties won't select president, vice president, or the candidates. It could well go to the people to select. So, it's at the moment, when I first got that, I thought, that'd be bedlam. How the hell are they going to do that? How many thousand people in America and how many stand up and put their hand up and they've all got to be voted? No, there'll be a process. And there's this review that's going to be looking at this, how best to work it. But that's the direction it's moving towards within the Constitution. I've got a wonky mouse. Laws, legal, and the courts, from states through to Supreme Court and state versus federal legislation, will come under serious review again by a similar system. This will also include a major review and possible new powers for the Department of Justice and the grand juries. It's like there's already a rumbling going on within the hierarchy. I mean, the judges and people at the moment and even within different parties, the Republicans are really outspoken concerning how Trump was able to get so powerful so easily. So it's a lot of those people that, like, down from the main top. The ones in here, as well as the people, they're the ones that are going to be putting out information out there, going to start saying, listen, we need to have a review on this. And in doing that, the people are going to be made aware of it, and it's going to bring this upheaval, this change of a positive nature. That's what it's going to do. A major review of the current voting system with a view to guaranteeing the rights of all American citizens the ability to vote. I've put here could include compulsory voting, preference voting, and multiple party due to limitations on party sizes. It's going to be talked about. It's going to be brought out there. Again, this is not within 4 years. This could be 20, 30 years or even more. But that's what's moving forward. This is where the direction is going for America. This is all Aquarius. This is where that's coming from. Cough, leave me. Okay. State powers will come under review with more powers given to the individual citizen, possibly via a new federal option as yet unknown. So it's a possibility that within all of this, there will be a review of more of a uniformity of the states in relation to the others, not to take their power away, but to have some sort of understanding. Like here in Australia, we have the structure with Australia is that the Governor-General, as I've already said, represents the King. Then we have our Parliament, we have our Senate, and unlike America, our Senate consists of multiple parties because we have this preferential system of voting. So any of you, if you're an Australian citizen, could put in to be in the Senate. And if you've got enough votes, you get there. And the way it's done, I mean, our Senate tickets can be miles long, seriously. And then you've got all these preferences. So you'd go through and there'd be the Hang Your Arty party or Doris Needs a New Hat party or, and then the major parties as well. So what you do is you go through and you put the numbers to that you want. So, if your first preference is for a particular party, well, you put number one. And I think they changed it so that if you did number one on a major party, and you chose not to do any others. I think they allowed that. I'm not sure where that's up to at the moment. I've forgotten. But then if you wanted someone, like, for example, if you were a protester and you just totally and absolutely hate democracy, so you'd go to the last person and you'd put number four, right in the number 4,696, then 95, and then 94, right, until you got to the major parties, which means that's a massive amount of work for the scrutineers to have to go through at the end of an election. But the idea I'm getting at is it's preferential voting, and that's the Senate. In the House of Representatives, which is the next level down, again we have where there's the major parties, but there's also minor parties. The Greens Party, there's a Pauline Hanson's party, Bob Catter party, the Country's Scratch Your Bum party, and you get the choice. So that instead of just two parties being voted, as is the case of America, one or the other, we do have a chance for independents and smaller parties to have a representative in our federal parliament. All right? So I'm not saying that's where America's going, but I feel that there's going to be a look at all of that. There's going to be a reviewing. Oh, itchy nose. And it's a big enough one too. Righto, so that's the review happening there. Where am I? Oh yeah, that's that one, yeah. I also get a review of the powers of government, both domestic and foreign, to control the US-based super corporations will bring calls for the strengthening of the United Nations and this and other world matters. So I need to clarify that a bit better, because I'm reviewing that as I'm doing this. I'll change that around a little bit. So there'll also be a look at the power of the United Nations. When you go back to the originals of Roosevelt's introduction of the United Nations, as opposed to the League of Nations before it, it was a brilliant idea. It was a very good and powerful ideology, and he set that up. But the Conservatives didn't want it, so president after president, watered it down to the point where the famous, what's his name, John Bolton, who was put in there by George W. Bush, completely gutted the intentions of Kofi Annan, who was the then United Nations president, completely gutted what they wanted to do to make it better, and the power went back to America. So America became the United Nations, and that is definitely going to be changed back to more power to the United Nations in a way that's more fairer and more palatable to all concerned. Righto, so that's the United Nations. Hello, where are United Nations? There you are. Something slipped. Events of a serious nature, possibly involving the escaping of extremely high-level corporate or government operatives via loopholes in the US justice system, will have the US re-signing up to the International Criminal Court. Now, normally I think it's under the Democrats that the Criminal Court is brought in, so it's to be assumed that's going to happen. But I think I was getting something more than that. They're not just going to, put it in, Democrat, pull it out, Republicans, put it in. There's going to be something more substantial. So that at the present time, we don't know that Trump isn't going to walk. He could, and not so much him, but his family and other people could walk out into another nation. And if that other nation is not signed up to the International Criminal Court, and America's not, then he could get away scot-free. Whereas, and in the case of Russia at the moment, they are signed up to the International Criminal Court, but the court has no power because America has not been backing them. If America backs them, then Russia would have been unable to do what it's doing, or at least brought to trial. So it's something that's going to be looked at. It'll have to come in. eventually, but as I say, timing is an unknown. Um, the A series of agreements between the US and border nations, such as Mexico and the South American nations, will slowly stem the tide of illegal migration that is to the advantage of all of those involved. Now, one of the things that's happening now, I've heard a few little stories about how Kamala's obviously up front. She's going to stop this illegal migration. That has to happen. And then a review of what to do next. But the only way it's going to really change is if the people don't want to leave their nation. If they have something in their own nation that will have them wanting to stay there, then there won't be this exodus. And that would happen if, for example, there's agreements or understandings in these nations that will allow them to grow in their way with their democratic processes. But I mean, if you've got one giant up the top there in the US, and it has been under the Republicans, that have been squeezing the life out of the other nations, even for old Canada, had it a bit tough there for a while. If that is taken away, if that's lowered, and if it's like, oh, come on, we're a family. We're not the we're not the United States. We're not Canada. We're not Australia. We are a family. We are the world. Remember that song? What happened to that? The thoughts and feelings behind that. Oh, I must have got lost there somewhere. The other one that's coming up would be the rights, rules and parameters governing journalism, media, news versus opinion, and media ownership will come under a long-term investigation via an independent judiciary or similar. And that obviously, that has to happen, not just in America. I mean, you're controlled by an ex-Australian, Rupert Murdoch. His father was a hero. His father in the First World War exposed what the British were doing to the Australian troops by sending letters back to the Adelaide Advertiser, which I think he ended up buying. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's a story. But his son grew up through all of, through what was going on, and could see the mighty dollars. And he started here in Australia, down in New South Wales, where I used to live. He started up the Daily Mirror, and the Daily Mirror is what Fox is now. It was a bit of truth, covered in all sorts of barnacles and SHT, and he's just expanded on that. Went to England, did the same thing, went to America. The reason he went out of Australia was because our taxes were having a major effect on his profits. And so he went to England. At the time, there was better tax rules in England, and then that changed. I think the Labor government came in over there, so he went to America. Now, the minute the American law tightens up on, as Kamala was talking about, on profits and paying proper taxes, God knows where he'll go. South America? Russia? Don't know. But there'll be a tightening up anyway in this review on all media, not just Rupert, but the whole lot across the board. Again, for entertainment purposes only and spiritual development, all of this. Oh, that's right, I've done that one, haven't I? Yeah. The individual's right to free speech, freedom of expression, and the will of the collective over the individual will be a spin-off from the rights under the Constitution review. What am I talking about there? The Karens, commonly in America. The Karens are my right, my personal right, over you. That's not democracy. The collective right over the individual is what we have here in Australia. People say, we come to Australia, they're so friendly, they're really nice, and that's because we don't have that I'm better than you because I'm American and I got a gun. No, it's hey, she be right, mate, don't worry about it. What are you going on about? Oh, go and have a beer. It's calm things down because, you have your point of view. I don't argue with that. Whatever you reckon is your business. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. that bastard down in Canberra, what's his name? That whoever it is. Yeah, he's a bit of a wanker. Pardon my colloquialisms. Yeah, he's a bit of a wanker. Yeah, but anyway, mate, you're all right. I know what you're saying, but yeah, come on, well, let's go into it. It's an attitude of the collective, because our voting system allows us to say through our votes, it's compulsory. Everyone in Australia from the age of 18, whatever it is, up, and I'm not sure, I'm still voting and I'm 78, so I'll probably get to 80 and they'll stop him. I wouldn't want to try. And it's like we can turn around and say Australia is being governed one way or another by 80%, let's say, of the populace, of the Australian people. And those others that are coming over and not citizens, well, too bad. No, not quite. But that's what that change is. That's where it's working towards. The Constitution will be reviewing the rights of the collective over the rights of the individual, in a way where, and I'm not talking about specific little collectives like super corporations or a particular party. No, I'm talking about the entire American population as a collective have the rights. The idea is that we're looking towards a review of the collective of all American citizens having the right over all of America, including and in particular the individual's rights. For example, if I want to go outside now and take my clothes off and walk down the road, well, I'm in the bush, it wouldn't matter. Or another one, if I want to drive, because I like America's idea. I think I'll get in my car and drive on the other side of the road, because we drive on the left-hand side. Well, America drives on the right. No, I'm going to get my right to drive on the right-hand side of the road. Why not? Okay, so that's an exaggeration. But it stops that. It stops that I have a right over everybody else. It's like I have my rights, but within the collective's rights. And the collective rights is what should determine the policies of any nation, anywhere. That was a big one. There we go in time, mate. That's a free speech one. The major gun laws. Major gun law reform will be ongoing with regular reviews, adjustments, and including the banning of certain types of firearms. Well, that's already in the mix now. They're talking about that. This will also dovetail the legislation concerning the rights of the individual and the power of the collective. Again, it'll be within that same structure, like the committee or organisation or body that will be reviewing, will be looking at these different branches. Like, okay, well, individual and the gun rights laws, individual and state and federal. That's a lot of stuff that will be considered in the overall review. There'll be a series of major states' rights conventions or similar to investigate the harmony of state laws that are currently at odds with sister states, such as the capital punishment and death penalty laws. So I sort of started up there mentioning a bit of this already, but it's within that they'll be looking at, well, okay, we've got a very, very strong conservative Texas, and I don't know all your states, and we've got whatever one next door is less so. It's still Republican, but less so. And it'll be like, okay, there'll be a means of looking at how we can have it so that the extremists don't dominate the middle of the roaders, within the one ideology. So it's going to be, there'll be a lot of work in that. I don't see how that can come together. But then this is not me saying this. This is coming from my spirit friends. This is all from what they are saying is coming, in one way or another. And of course the capital punishment one. There was a guy. Apparently I saw the story. There was a judge, I think, and a whole lot of people come out and said this guy is innocent. He's on death row in a state. He's an innocent. This is what I'm referring to with this. He's an innocent. But the governor, I think it was, or whoever's in charge, said, no, it's already been decided on. He's gone. I mean, that's wrong. No one person should have that power. Even if he is representing a party, no. So it's sort of that area of that particular part is what I was referring to just back then with the review. It's like we've got to look more at the people's perspective, not the collectives. No, sorry, not at the controlling group at the top. It's got to come down. There's been too much of that in America. You know, if you've got money, you're God. If you're a person who's a genius, absolute genius, and you can't get your voice out, well, you're on a snack pile working for McDonald's, maybe making chips. And that's exactly the story there. I mean, she fought her way to the top via the support of those who could see in her a value. But if she hadn't been in the right place at the right time, if she'd been a black person in the middle of Texas, would she have gone there? Yeah, some have. But you know the point I'm getting at. It should be an open door to what a person has to offer to the collective. And again, we're going back to the collective, not the individual. And that, my friends, at this point, is the blog for next week. And I always finish off with a little saying that my spirit friends gave me. The original soul, spirit, intentions, and the intentions of the physical world are in many ways opposed. When you are able to live respectful to the demands of the physical world, live in the world, but fully attuned to the direction of your soul, spirit's purity of the spirit, not of the physical world, is when you know you are truly open to your highest spirit's guidance. Think about that. Okay, thank you all again for putting up with me. I didn't have the boys coming through as such. Oh dear, just whacked me across the ear. You see the red mark? Who do you think just fed all that? Like I say, I never know, and I don't really want to know. I mean, if I get criticised, I blame them, and if if this praise comes through, I'll take that on board. Yeah, right. Righto, folks. See you next time. Thanks for dropping in.